Good evening from New York. I'm Lawrence O'Donnell. Last time President Obama extended a lunch invitation to the Republican leadership, they told him they were too busy. But House Speaker John Boehner, House Majority Leader Eric Cantor, and House Majority Whip Kevin McCarthy all accepted the president's invitation to join him at 12:30 tomorrow for a lunch discussion at the White House. Press Secretary Robert Gibbs says subjects will include, quote, all issues, foreign and domestic. But there will be no preview of the president's budget. Tomorrow's lunch is President Obama's latest attempt to reach across Washington's political divide. As an appetizer of sorts, Eric Cantor slammed two of the president's plans today. Cantor vowed the House would vote to block funding for the health care reform bill when it takes up the budget plan next week. He also said he's not in favor of the new plan for high-speed rail construction rolled out by the White House today. Joining me now, a man who reaches across the political divide every week on his show, Real Time with Bill Maher. Bill, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Lawrence. I try.
Bill, you talk to Republicans more than Barack Obama does every week on your show. Any advice for him on how to handle these guys tomorrow?
Well, actually, he tries so hard. I mean, this man, I saw him with Bill O'Reilly, as I'm sure a lot of people did in this country before the Super Bowl, and all I could think of is, I would never be that way. I just do not have it in me to take that much, really, that much guff, shall we call it, since I'm not on HBO.
Right.
I just feel like the most difficult part of his job must be to quelch the rage that somewhere must be inside him to say, I'm the President of the United States. You don't talk to me like this. I'm not I'm not Al Sharpton, you know. I won this job. And Bill O'Reilly, who claims he's such a patriot, how unpatriotic, in my view, to treat a president that way. How does that look to other countries when you're interrupting and belittling? I saw what you did on your show last night, counting the number of times he was interrupted. I just find it astounding.
Yeah, I mean,
and as far as the Go ahead, sorry.
Well, you know, over 42 interruptions in 15 minutes. I mean, you don't have to be the President of the United States to say, hey, maybe you'd only interrupt me 15 times in 15 minutes. How about that? How about one a minute?
And John Boehner not attending any of these places that he's invited to by the president. I don't remember this ever happening before.
Yeah,
with other presidents.
That's
you
new,
don't have to.
But they have decided to show up tomorrow. Boehner's going to show up there tomorrow. They're going to have lunch and pretend there's some way for them to go forward, governing together, right after, within 24 hours, less than 24 hours after the president says we should do infrastructure spending in this country, try to catch up with the rest of the world on this sort of thing, and get some real rail service going in different places around the country. Republicans immediately say, no, we're not going to do that. And then what are they going to talk about tomorrow?
But, I mean, that's okay. That's policy. I mean, they're allowed to do that. But this idea, this attitude they have that Barack Obama won the election fair and square by a big margin. He is the president. But somehow he always has to beg them just to come to the table. Or as he did with the speech yesterday before the Chamber of Commerce, apologize to them. Why is he apologizing to these guys, the business community? He saved their ass. This narrative that somehow they've had to put up with this incompetent socialist the last 2 years, and now he's coming around. No. They're the ones, the business community, not them specifically, more Wall Street, but they tanked the economy, and this competent man brought it back and stabilized it. All the people who got a lump in their throat watching that Super Bowl commercial about how Detroit has come back, well, that's Obama who got Detroit back. He's the one who bailed out the auto industry. The notion that he somehow is moving to the center, he's always been there, and he's always been very friendly and good to business. How this president is a radical, I don't know where they're getting this from. He wanted to drill more for oil. He stayed in Afghanistan. Health care is an old Republican plan. He wants to raise taxes 3% on the richest 1 or 2%. This is not a radical. They do not see reality.
His health care plan was more conservative than Richard Nixon's health care plan, which did not pass. But these Republicans don't seem to have any memory for that sort of thing. Bill, you've started to ask the question on your show of where are we in the arc of the madness known as Glenn Beck? Is he on the way down? We do know his ratings are sliding. It's hard to sell ads on his show, even though he does have, pretty good ratings there still. You got conservative columnist Bill Kristol attacking him now, saying he's basically the same thing as the John Birch Society. Chart for us, Bill, and how should we look at this? Is this just a show business career, Glenn Beck, that we're watching flame out, or is this a real political phenomenon of some kind? And is it something liberals should be afraid of, or is he now really just a bad joke?
Well, of course, he's a bad joke, which is good for me and you and a lot of other people who can make fun of him. And he gives us a lot of material. I think most important in Glenn Beck's world is staying on the air. Once you get a job like that where you have fans and you go into an office and everybody kisses your behind and people are telling you you're great, it's really very, very hard to give that up. And he got a little bit of a messiah complex. So I don't think he cares how he stays on top. First it was political. Then over the summer, remember his rally on the Mall? It seemed like he was trying to seg into a non-political semi-religious figure. It was all about God and stuff like that. That didn't work too well. He had a self-help book. People didn't like that one. Now he's gone further to the place where he was before, sort of this apocalyptic politics. And it kind of reminds me of something I read about him when he said he was getting married, and he and his wife, his fiancée at the time, before they get married, they said, well, before we can get married, we have to pick a religion. It's just like,
of course.
Really? Is that how it's religion? I thought
China
it came
pattern
directly from
religion?
God. Yeah. These people do not seem to have really firm convictions, is what I'm saying.
Bill, your favorite Republican candidate, the one you created, delivered to the world, Christine O'Donnell. She's back. She's trying to raise money again for this thing she's calling Christine PAC, a political action committee. Big surprise, she's going to run it out of her home. In other words, she's going to raise money to pay her rent again through a political action committee. But she claims in her letter to her supporters she's trying to get money from, the left keeps after me because they consider a strong Republican woman a danger to their status quo. Now, isn't she exactly the kind of strong Republican woman that Democrats are hoping will run for Senate in every state in the country, so that the Democrats might someday actually win 100 seats if they're running against 100 Christine O'Donnells?
Yeah, that field of strong Republican women, her and Sarah Palin and Michelle Bachmann, and I found out this week apparently I'm having a feud with Elisabeth Hasselbeck.
Yes, you are. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. You're not getting off the hook without addressing that. Yeah. Going to roll some tape about that. But in fact, we're happy to do it right now. Why don't we do it right now? It's a perfect segue. You did say something about Elisabeth on your show on Friday that started a pretty serious controversy that you're going to have to address. Let's watch how it started.
Now that Hosni Mubarak has released Lara Logan, he must put her intrepid hotness on a plane back to the United States immediately. In exchange, we will send Elisabeth Hasselbeck.
Now, fine.
Notice how the audience laughed.
Of course they did, because, you can hide anything in the cloak of a joke. I will say this to Boy Billy. It is unfair. It is chauvinistic, what you said, and you'll probably run this again, and I find it disturbing, but also amusing that I happen to be on your mind. It is wrong to do to any person, but any woman who just happens to disagree with you. And you obviously missed the call of civility from our president, Barack Obama, and you were on the other line with ignorance and hate. Maybe next time you should pick up the call. That's all.
Mr. Maher, you have as much time as you want, actually, for your rebuttal.
I don't even know where to begin. I mean, first of all, it's a joke.
Yes.
And not even that bad a one. These people are so, I don't want to use a word that'll get me more in trouble. Let's just say I wouldn't put her on the Intelligence Committee. to the point where they really don't know where the line is. I mean, there is a line that can be crossed where you get into mean, bitter, chauvinistic, all the things I didn't even approach it. It's a joke. You see, the difference is between me and Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh said that New York Times reporters were being attacked in Egypt. Should I feel bad about it? That's reality. I wasn't actually, no one thought I was actually saying that they should take Elisabeth Hasselbeck and send her over to Egypt. Actually, she should be kind of complimented because I was putting her on a par with Lara Logan, who, we all think is a very attractive woman. So, we're kind of saying to the Egyptians, the imaginary Egyptians who have Lara in custody, well, we'll send you Elisabeth Hasselbeck because she's also attractive, but we don't like her politics. That was all that was behind that joke. And, to say I'm on her mind, I did one joke that took 20 seconds. She had all weekend to get over it. And apparently on Monday morning, it was the first, Barbara, we must first take time out to deal with this atrocity.
Bill, not only was it a joke, it was a good joke, and it passed right here in this room, it passed the crew test. While that joke was playing, the crew was cracking up, and as you know, that's the ultimate test of any joke. Who did get the joke, Bill, was Miss Barbara Walters. She actually explained to Elisabeth, no, Elisabeth, he was actually joking about your politics. So, Barbara actually gets the joke.
And I have no ill feelings toward Elisabeth Hasselbeck. We disagree fundamentally on pretty much everything. She's not the kind of person who I would want to have lunch with, nor would she want to have it with me. But we can be civil. I've been on her show before. I'm not looking to start a giant fight with her. But, we're both public figures. People are going to make jokes about us. And if she's going to call me Billy Boy, I'm going to call her Lizzie Bird.
I think it was Boy Billy, actually. But we'll go back and play the tape and figure that out. Bill Maher, host of Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO on Friday nights. Bill, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.